Hey everybody, it's Dan with Pain Free You. About an hour and 20 minutes ago, I posted the question on the page in the group saying, hey, do you have any video topics you want me to cover, any questions you want me to answer? And wow, I didn't expect it, but I got like over 30 questions, 4 pages worth right here. So I'm going to try to blast through these quickly. Some of it I'm going to be referring you to other videos that I've shot on these topics. So let me first just say, when in doubt, go to YouTube and search for Pain Free You channel. Once there, click on the link that says videos and you will see the archive. I've got nearly 300 of them by now. There is also a little magnifying glass. Click on that and type in a keyword like relapse or anxiety or symptom imperative, or whatever it may be that you're curious for me to cover. Ideally, that's the best way instead of, asking me a question. And in some cases, your questions, I will point you to YouTube. Go to that, magnifying glass and search for it, and you'll find it. So, as far as questions go, I'm going to kind of rattle through them. The first question was setting healthy boundaries or setting boundaries. And I know this lady, and she's got some issues with some family members who are a bit over in her space and in, I don't know, just a challenge to be with. And I will tell you, go to YouTube, search for, not my channel, but search YouTube in general for setting healthy boundaries. There are TED Talks, there are experts. You'll probably find dozens of videos on setting healthy boundaries. I'm probably not the expert in family relationships or things like that. So go to YouTube and search. And for everybody, YouTube is an amazing search engine with all sorts of amazing topics, whether it be anxiety, fear, you name it. I don't watch as much TV anymore, but I do watch a lot of YouTube videos, mostly surrounding this kind of stuff. So, somebody asked, thanks for asking, I'd love for you to address the issue of having strange, uncommon symptoms that have been checked out by the medical community and seem to have no apparent cause. Damage can't even be found, and I think there must be a few of us that would like this topic addressed. In other words, you don't have back pain, and so this stuff doesn't apply to me, right? And rare conditions, another person commented, I agree, rare conditions you never see talked about in any groups, and feeling like yours must be the worst pain out there, so how can this actually work? So you feel like you've got the worst case scenario, and somehow your case is different, and the feeling of alone, like nobody else is going through this stuff like I am. And so I've said this before. There's a video, search YouTube, Pain For You channel for feeling lonely. And I do address the topic of feeling like you're the only one going through this. As for these unique, unusual symptoms, no, they're not quite as prevalent as things like back pain or migraines or whatever. But trust me, I've been paying attention and participating in these online communities for as long as they've been out there. And you are not alone. The most strange, unusual symptoms can all be linked back to TMS. And I've said it before, I'll say it here, finding somebody else with your exact symptom who got better with TMS is not how you determine if your symptom is TMS and whether or not it can be eliminated, right? Dr. Schubner, David Clark, the PPD Association, their number one rule of thumb is rule out the life-threatening. I'm assuming you've done that. If you have not, please do. And the 2 ladies that commented here, they said, doctors can't find anything. Great. Nothing life-threatening going on. Perfect. Now once you've done that, you rule in TMS. How do you do that? With the assessments, and I talk about that. If you go to the Pain For You group on Facebook, the very top announcement says, unsure if you have TMS? And I give you 3 different self-assessments you can do to determine whether or not Your issue is stress-related, TMS, PPD, psychophysiological pain disorder, or symptoms, stress illness, right? There is danbuglio.com/pain test. There's also a short link, yourpaintest.com. Anything over 29 means it's this TMS stuff and can be eliminated. Go to painfreeyou.com. That's my website. Download the self-assessment. Go through it. Print it out. If you don't have a printer, take out a notepad and just go through step by step what you see on the screen and write down freehand the answers to the assessment. And then go to ppdassociation.org/symptoms. And there is another set of series of questions, and these are ways that you can say, do my pain characteristics, do my pain history, and when these symptoms started correlating with life experience, does that all correlate with the behaviors of TMS or mind-body symptoms or pains? That's how you rule it in, not finding a person on the internet who's got the same exact thing as you do and has been successful. Because most likely, if somebody got rid of their pain 2 years ago, they're probably not hanging out in the groups any longer. So your chances of finding an exact match are very minimal, and that's not the way to do it. Rule out life-threatening. See your doctor for any new symptoms that are concerning. Rule out the life-threatening, but then rule in TMS. I know I've spoken to people who just get so hung up on finding somebody else with the exact same symptoms, and since I can't find it, then I'm the only one who's ever had this, and I'm different, and my problem is going to be so much harder to eliminate. But that's not true. There's virtually no end to the type of symptoms that TMS, or this mind-body disorder, can create. So please do the assessments if you are in doubt. And if you want to realize that you're not alone, go watch that video. Search on my YouTube channel for Feeling Lonely. That's the title. So, somebody asked about how to change my mindset. 3 days ago, or 4 days ago, I just released a mindset video. Actually, it's probably like 5 or 6 by now. I got another couple queued up in between recording this and the mindset video. So, just released a brand new video. It's 24 minutes long on the mindset. Watch that video. So when I say, what do you want me to talk about? And you say mindset, part of me says, come on guys, aren't you paying attention? I just released a video a few days ago all about mindset. So if you want a straight answer to the question of how I can work better on my mindset, here it is. Awareness and choice. Awareness of what's going through your head all day long, and choice. Choose to shift your thoughts away from the fear-based, anxiety-based, pain-based thinking, symptom-based thinking. If you're not aware of it, you're sleepwalking and you're on autopilot. And that's so easy to get into, but awareness and choice, there's your answer. That's how you shift a mindset. What do you shift your mindset to? Gratitude, what you want. Remember, neuroplasticity. We wire the things that we think about and place the most attention on. If you don't want the pain to continue, you've got to be aware that you're thinking about it and choose to shift your thoughts away from it. Somebody was saying, well, what do I think about? You know, I'm so used to thinking about the pain. The answer is virtually anything else. Anything else helpful, I'll say. I mean, anything else will shift you away from the pain, but if it's also now you're thinking about fear and anxiety, that's not what I mean. But virtually anything else. How about gratitude, things that are good in your life? How about things that bring you purpose, meaning, joy, right? What would make you laugh? Shift to that stuff and you'll find that your world can turn over from this dark place to a happier place fairly quick. So, how to handle a pain attack and stay calm towards the pain. Well, first of all, language matters. So if you're calling your pain an attack, it's too significant for you and you are still in a fear-based mode. So an episode of pain or the pain increasing, those are softer terms compared to an attack. An attack is like, you're in danger, when it's really not. It's an increase in the discomfort. It's not really an attack. It feels that way, but watch your language. And as far as that question goes, search the YouTube channel for the word flare, like a pain flare. You'll find a couple of videos that I talked about that. What to do and don't when you've got pain while sitting, and how do you distract yourself from it? Trying to figure out. So this guy's got a conditioned response. And essentially I did a whole video on conditioned response. Go to YouTube, search for Pain For You channel, search for conditioned response. And even the later video that I did not too long ago called Nocebo. When you think something is bad for you, it will be. The brain will actually create it. It's called predictive coding. Watch that one too. Search for predictive coding. But the technique to get around that is look for the video called the I'm good technique. When you're about ready to sit down, just say, I'm good, and sit down. Don't walk into a restaurant scoping out the chairs and going, oh no, this is going to be horrible. Because what you expect, you get. If you're driving over to the restaurant going, oh, this is going to suck. It's going to be awful. I'm going to be in such pain. I'm going to have to get up 4 times just to stretch my back. Predictive coding. What you expect, you actually are. Your brain is going to create that. So learn to choose your thoughts. Don't catastrophize and create this imaginary event at the restaurant in an hour. You're not even there. Don't worry about the chair. I'm good. I've got this. I can sit. There's nothing wrong with me, right? And it's consistency of doing that. The more you fear sitting down, the more you're going to hurt. So hopefully that answered that. Somebody said, I know it goes against what you teach, but a video on not doing things like self-massage on a painful area. And in other words, it sounds like this lady has already come to the realization that doing self-massage did not help her because it kept her focused on the body. And that goes all the way back to Sarno's original work, which is stop doing physical treatments. If you're putting ice on or heat or pain patches or doing massage or chiropractic or physical therapy because it gives you a temporary relief, you're basically telling the brain that you got me fooled. This is physical. And so I didn't get better until I stopped doing all that stuff. And I even, towards the very last year, before I kind of hit the wall of understanding, I was going to physical therapy. None of it worked for me, and all it did was confuse the brain, and physical therapy actually made me worse. So, let me keep going here. Somebody was saying they used the Shiatsu massager on their back so often they had calluses on their lower lumbar muscles. So, look, if it's temporary, maybe it feels good while you're doing it. But if the pain comes back 20 minutes later, that's TMS. That's proof it's TMS. Why? Because massage will increase blood flow, and when you stop doing it, the blood flow goes back to the deprived state, which Dr. Sarno talked about in his books. So it's TMS. A physical treatment's not going to stop or cure the pain. And if you're thinking, well, I need the relief, you got to make a decision. Is the temporary short-term relief worth long-term pain and suffering? So, let's see. Somebody asked about my story of healing, and I posted a link there. But if you go to YouTube, search my channel for my story, you'll see it. Somebody was saying, how do I break the associations between triggers, situations, people, etc. that we can't avoid? In other words, you go to visit family members, and whoever it is, your sister, brother, aunt, uncle, mother, father, somebody always gets under your skin, and you walk away from there hurting. So how do you break that trigger? 1, predictive coding. If you are expecting that you're going to hurt by visiting them, you've got to change that expectation. Speak to yourself, reassure yourself that, hey, they may annoy the piss out of me, but as soon as I leave, I'm going to feel my emotions. I'm going to feel the anger, and there's no reason for me to hurt, because there's no reason a conversation with an annoying relative or somebody should create physical pain. It does, because that's what TMS does, because you're feeling these emotions and your brain still thinks those emotions are dangerous. So go back to fundamentals. Decide. Reframe it. Emotions are safe. And once you have reframed that emotions are safe, then you know you can go into a potentially emotionally charged environment where these triggers are, perhaps a conversation with the boss, and know that, yeah, you're going to come out of there pissed off, but that's okay. So I think it's just a matter of consistently reminding yourself, go back to square one, emotions are safe, and remind yourself that the trigger of getting angry does not have to equal pain. That's essentially the entire recovery process, is teaching the brain that we don't need the distraction because we can handle the emotions. And so it's awareness, it's choice, it's consistency. Yeah, somebody said maybe do a video or something about, reinforcing the fact that symptom type doesn't matter. Yes, go to YouTube, search for my channel, Pain For You channel, and type in symptoms don't matter. I talked about it, mentioned it early on in this video. Here, another person was asking, when you're stuck, like they got to a decent level, but then there's no change or improvement after the fact. They can live their life at this level, but they would rather be 100% symptom-free, and I am stuck in capital letters. So what I'm suggesting here is that the stuck mentality, the frustration that I'm stuck, could be why you're still stuck. And I'm not offending or criticizing or judging, but I am suggesting that if you look at being mostly better and I can live my life as being stuck, getting rid of this last little bit is too significant. It's too important for you. And if you are still spending the great majority of your time thinking about how you're stuck with this leftover pain, it's too significant. Basically, feel your emotions, soothe yourself, turn down the nervous system, and then basically don't give a F. Don't give a fuck about your symptoms. Go live your life. This is no longer a life-changing pain episode. You can live your life. So stop caring, stop focusing on it, stop thinking about it, stop telling yourself you're stuck, because as long as you tell yourself you're stuck, your brain's going to believe it, right? Mindset, decision, awareness, all that stuff. So as much as possible about mindset, again, I just did a video recently within the week about mindset. And then right following that, the day after, I did the one about more brain science, which is where I discuss why the mindset concepts I teach are so critical, because we have to understand how the brain works. And if you don't, it's going to be really tough for you to get better and apply the mindset stuff if you don't even realize why it's important. So go watch the mindset video from like 4 or 5 days ago. That would have put it around January 23rd, maybe, in that range, 2020, depending on when you're watching this video. Here's one, bone on bone, knee arthritis. Does that apply to TMS? Maybe, maybe not. It's not for me to say. If you are concerned with that, you can take your x-rays, images, MRIs, and perhaps send that to one of the doctors at the ppdassociation.org, Dr. Schubner, Dr. David Clark, I think maybe Dr. David Schechter, I'm not sure, I think he's in that association. But these guys can actually evaluate your image study and say, yes, that's TMS, it's not a big deal, that's kind of normal aging, or no, that falls in the realm of, where the degradation is so bad you need a knee replacement. But it's not for me to say whether or not bone on bone is TMS. If you want to do a little self-assessment before you take it to the step of sending some reports over to Dr. Schubner or Dr. David Clark, do the self-assessments. I covered that earlier in the video. And so see whether or not your pain characteristics and when the pain hurts more. Does it hurt less when you're on vacation and less stressed? How about during the week versus the weekends? Does the pain go up or down? Are you fine sometimes but not others? Those pain characteristics would be a much better indicator of whether or not your pain is TMS or not. And those assessments will work, but if you're really unsure, get your imaging studies to one of those doctors. Dr. Schubner is at unlearnyourpain.com, and Dr. David Clark is at stressillness.com, and you can go to the ppdassociation.org. So somebody was asking about weight and pain, and what if the doctor says excessive weight is causing the pain? There's a lot of really heavy people with no pain. So I'm not convinced that's the case. Again, do the assessments. Determine if your pain characteristics map to the type of pain that TMS is. What are your personality traits? Do the assessments. Let that be the determining factor, not some doctor's opinion that weight is why you hurt. Right? That's just another one of those doctor off-the-cuff diagnoses. That's what I would suggest. There was a few questions about weight. Somebody said that they're not as active because of the pain. And yes, that can absolutely happen. And lack of activity, certainly we know a sedentary body is not as generally healthy as an active one. But I will tell you, if you're concerned about weight, in my study, and I've gone up and down a few times with my weight over my lifetime, I would say probably 80 to 90% of weight control is what we put in our mouth. And the other 10 to 20% is exercise. You cannot exercise away a bad diet, but you can eat properly and lose weight without exercise. And I've seen it time and time again, and I've personally done it. So that's my take on that. Relapses. Somebody says, I'm like 90% pain-free for almost 10 years. Wonderful, congratulations. But still have frustrating, painful relapses from time to time. My take, your brain still thinks you need a distraction. In other words, you've gotten pain-free. For the most part, you're good, but you're probably still repressing emotions. And at a certain point in time, when these repressed emotions build up and threaten to burst into consciousness, as Sarno explained in his books, the pain can relapse and it comes back. So how do you deal with that? Don't worry about trying to fix it when it relapses. Yes, you dive back into the TMS work. But what about just becoming more aware of what you're feeling emotionally? Check in every day. What's going on emotionally? Give yourself permission to feel whatever the heck is going on emotionally, right? So the brain still thinks you need a distraction if you keep getting relapses every so often. So you haven't yet learned to feel your emotions on a regular basis. You're still probably repressing. So, somebody asked about rewiring neural pathways. And even if I don't think about the pain, what do I think about? I touched on this earlier, but the pain thoughts creep in. Again, it's awareness of thoughts and choice to shift them. Look, we can't never think about pain, right? If we've had pain episodes or we are currently having pain, don't expect to be perfect that you'll never ever think of it once throughout the course of the day. That's setting a standard for yourself that's just impossible to meet. So you can choose your response. So if the thought of pain comes up, you can go, look at that. I thought of it. No big deal. I'm shifting. Gratitude. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I was working on this. I need to do that. Shift away as soon as you can with as little response or reaction to the pain as possible. So this one, a new reality, a new life, how to create it. to leave the pain behind. A lot of the concepts I teach are all about shifting your focus and wiring the things in your brain that you want. Well, have you defined what it is that you want? What is this new life that you want? And don't say a life without pain or symptoms. You're still talking about the pain or the symptoms. No, really. Like, sit down and write out. Some people do the vision boards. Some people like just visualize. What is that new life? Well, if you want to create a new life and leave the pain-filled one behind, you've got to start walking towards that new life and creating that and visualizing it and believing it's possible. Because with the belief, you'll see the potential. With the potential, you'll start to see opportunities and you'll start to take action. And when you start to take action, things can start happening and you'll start to see results. So, just watching the clock. 25 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this under 30. How to deal with lack of support from family and friends. That's a tough one because some of us in pain can be pretty high maintenance with our family and friends. I know I was. And I know my wife got sick of it at times. And depending upon how difficult we are and how much we are in the victim poor me mode complaining about our symptoms all the time, we can be really difficult to be around. And some of our friends and family may pull back and be like, I can't deal with it. Just sucking the energy out of me. So my answer to that is not how to demand their support, but how can you become more self-sufficient? And yes, I know many of us are in serious pain and need the help of others, but we can choose how grateful we are for the help, how we treat those around us. We can choose how much to talk about or complain or be in the victim mode, which doesn't help you either. So really important. You can, again, choose how you interact with those that have been supporting you so that you're much more pleasant to be around. Be grateful, thankful. We can't demand support, but we can certainly appreciate it when it's given. Fear of movement. Go to the YouTube channel, Pain For You channel, search for resuming physical activity. There's a video there. And don't forget that technique I taught, I'm good. When you're going to resume physical activity, remember, just right before you move, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Repetition, consistency, that stuff helps. Somebody was asking about pelvic pain and burning. Same thing. The symptoms are vast. There's tons of people with pelvic pain and burning. It's TMS generally. There's been a lot of success stories. It's not up to me to tell you if yours is or not. Do the assessments like we've talked about a couple times in this video and determine that way. There are absolutely UTIs, but anything persistent that's not changing as a result of antibiotics very likely could be TMS, and I've seen countless success stories of people who've gotten rid of pelvic pain and burning through this TMS approach. So, hypnotherapy, has anybody tried it? I will tell you I have no personal experience with hypnotherapy. I guess it's good, but I can't really speak to it. Somebody asked what TMS was. Tension myositis syndrome, tension myoneural syndrome, the mind-body syndrome. I like to call it too much stress. I'm starting to see that echoed out in the TMS communities. First time I heard it, my brother joked about it because he's got TMS as well. I think I brought it to the community, but I don't care about taking credit. Well, I guess I do if I just brought it up. Anyway, too much stress. It encompasses so much of this TMS world. All right, so this is kind of part 2. I'm going to bulk these together. The camera did stop at 30 minutes. Anyway, so this lady's journaled for over a year. She's identified many past stress issues and is a lot better at identifying and expressing current emotions, yet she still has pain. Why? She's asking. And in my opinion, we can journal our hearts out. We can delve deep into the emotional past and traumas and current stressors and emotions. One is she going through the emotions and writing about it, or is she truly feeling? So there is a difference between thinking our way through the journaling, saying, well, I remember this happened. Well, if you're not actually allowing yourself to feel the emotion and you haven't determined that emotions are safe, you may still be in a place where you're going through the motions and not quite feeling. So, number one, try to give yourself permission to feel these emotions very strongly. Second of all, if you've done the emotional discovery and you've gotten good at soothing yourself, meditating, deep breathing, going outside, whatever, turning down the volume on the stress, then guess what? There's only one other main area that can keep us stuck, which is all the mindset stuff that I've been teaching. Don't care about the symptoms. If you're journaling and saying, I've been doing it for a year, but I'm still not better, and how come this isn't working, and this sucks, and your mindset isn't to the point of indifference. Your mindset is still saying, this is awful, I can't get out of it, this isn't working. The pain or the symptoms are too significant. And so we really have to get to the point where we can say, and mean it, I don't care if I hurt or not, I'm going on with my life. Why? Because it's TMS. We've done the assessments. We know about TMS. And so if there's nothing wrong with my body, I'll deal with the discomfort because I know shifting my focus away from it is how I get rid of it. Staying stuck on it and having the wrong mindset that I'm watching the calendar is why a lot of times it doesn't let go. I did that for well over a decade. So, how to become more active without fear and not react when you get symptoms when you try and become active. Again, Pain For You channel, search for resuming physical activity, and the I'm Good technique, it's all the same. How to retrain the brain. Basically, awareness. You got to become aware of where your brain is going all day long because that's what's going to wire. And then choice to shift away from that. Focus on what you want, not the symptoms. Two people asked about tinnitus or tinnitus. Believe it or not, I have a ringing in my ears. I've had it for probably about 4 years now. Happened as a result of, maybe about 5 years. As a result of, I believe, and some people will say it's BS, but it happened within an hour of me getting mercury fillings drilled out and not safely. And I believe I had mercury poisoning and it created. Now, I've done all sorts of detox and gotten the mercury out and got them down to safe levels, but I still have tinnitus or tinnitus. Why? I think there's a certain amount of neuroplasticity. The brain has learned to keep that going. And what I've personally noticed about this is that anytime this topic comes up and I see the word tinnitus or tinnitus, I don't know how you pronounce it, I'm aware of it. I notice it and it gets louder. But if I'm just going about my day and I'm not thinking about it, I'm not aware of it. I don't notice it, which is really fascinating. That just calls into play neuroplasticity. It's like when I read the word, my brain goes, oh yeah, those neural pathways, let's reconnect them, let's strengthen them because you are putting your attention there, your focus there. So neuroplasticity and tinnitus is really where you want to go. How do you rewire that? There is a lady in Australia. Her name is Joey Remenyi, and she is an vestibular audiologist, basically an ear specialist. She deals with vertigo and tinnitus, and she has programs all about neuroplasticity. And for her, it is learning to shift your attention from the ringing in your ears to other things, something that is working well in your body, right? And it is all what you're focusing on stays wired. So if you want to get rid of the tinnitus, don't focus on it. And I know sometimes it's screaming at us, sometimes louder than others, but sometimes it can be really unbearable. But as much as possible, shift your focus away from it. That's my take. Go check out Joey, Reminyi or Reminyi, something like that. But she's down in Australia, and she's definitely, search for Joey and the word tinnitus. You'll find her. Very prevalent on YouTube. This guy asked about depersonalization, derealization, and feeling numb. And not an expert in this specific symptom. However, in everything I've studied, I've met with and worked with a couple of people. I believe that it's a defense strategy by the brain. It is the brain basically saying life is too intense, so I'm going to check out, kind of stepping outside of the experience of living and not really feeling like yourself, like you're just in a fog. People have called that brain fog, depersonalization. I think it's all stress related, and in a very non-expert way, my suggestion is going to be do what you can to turn down the level of stress. And as it relates to this depersonalization, don't freak out about a stress illness, because stressing about a stress illness is going to probably make the stress illness stay or worse, right? So I always joke, stressing about a stress illness is like pouring gasoline on the fire and scratching your head going, how come it won't go out, right? So last question, and by the time I get done shooting this, there's probably going to be another 10 on the Facebook group. Anyway, this last one. I can't get angry because I'm a Christian. I've been told that anger is not allowed. And so here's one of those situations where it's a tough one, because we have our beliefs and we have our concerns about being a good Christian or a good whatever religion you follow. And, you know, these ones were kind of ingrained in us as we were raised and taught this religion. My personal belief is we were meant to feel emotions, right? We were meant to feel emotions. And if we were not allowed to get angry because that would upset God, well, doesn't that mean that God is getting angry because we're getting angry? And kind of a double standard. Look, I don't want to get into a religious debate here, but we're human beings. We're flawed. We're not perfect beings. And don't let your religion cause you to stay stuck in pain. I don't believe God would want that. I don't believe any religious religion would want you to hurt. This is not punishment. This is a defense strategy that this survival brain comes up with to protect you from emotions that you've been resisting for too long. Right? We're not suggesting act out your anger. We're not suggesting express it and be violent or anything. But in the privacy of your head and your heart, give yourself permission. If you're angry, give yourself permission to feel it. I don't believe that makes you a bad Christian or any other religion. So I hope I did that justice. I hope I didn't offend anybody. But those are the questions I've got so far. I'll keep an eye on the Facebook page and group, and maybe do another one of these if in fact there are more questions that are coming in. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for sending over all those questions, and I'm going to cut this off before it gets even that much longer. This will be a 40-minute video by the time I put these two pieces together. Thanks.